What's up, everybody? Just gonna get set up real quick.
Hey,
Can you hear me?
hey, I can hear you.
Sweet.
You
All
have
right.
your headphones in. I
Yes,
know
I
you hate
do.
them.
I know. I have them in just for you viewers. You're welcome.
I know. You love them.
I love
That's
them so
why.
much because then it helps us do this so people can hear
That's
us. So
right.
it's all good.
That's right.
All right, I'm
Let's
gonna share
see.
this real quick,
Me
and then
too.
we can talk. So bear with us
Yeah.
for like 2 seconds, maybe
Just
more
hang
than
on,
2 seconds.
guys. We're hurrying. Depends on
Hey,
the technology.
listen, I've got this down pretty fast though. Like, I have everything set up ready to go, so I just paste it in there and then go to another tab, paste it in there, and it's good to go.
You're like,
So,
boom. I'm a
yeah.
lot slower. My computer's really old, and it's like, just hang on. It's like a grandpa computer.
Man,
Okay,
technology
come
ages
on.
so quickly too.
I know, especially nowadays. It's just like in 1 year, something's like
It's
super
super
old.
different, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could
Okay.
say that my Mac though has held up pretty well. I definitely
Yeah.
dig the Macs. I
We
love
like
them.
Macs too. My Mac is like 10 years old, and what the heck? Okay. Come on.
All right, I'm done. I
There we
beat you.
go. Okay. You did beat me.
It
Okay.
wasn't a
I don't,
race, but it was. You just weren't aware. So,
that's funny. Hey, that's not fair. You can't do that. Okay. Oh my
such is
gosh.
life, Morgan.
It
I'm just
is.
kidding.
Come on. Oh my gosh. Okay. For the love.
It's all good.
It's like bloop, 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 bloop,
It's buffering.
loading. Yeah, because I'm trying to share it. And then,
Try to
okay.
refresh your page, maybe, if it's still doing it.
Well, it's just taking like it's
Forever.
just
Yeah.
slow. Yeah. So, oh
We'll
my
get
gosh.
started here
Sorry,
in a minute, guys.
guys.
Just
I
give us a
know.
second.
It's my fault. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Don't be sorry. It's all good.
Oh my
We have
gosh.
patient viewers. They join us every
Okay.
week.
I
We're
know.
good.
They do. They're so awesome.
All right.
I love them.
Me too. All right.
Okay.
Let's see. Hey,
Okay.
Dan. Hey,
Shared.
Jamie.
Oh yeah, I gotta make sure my screen is swiped so I can see comments.
Yeah,
Come
because you
on.
got to be able to read more of them than me, and they're longer.
What the heck? Okay, I can't see anything. It's not letting me swipe. Maybe just because there's no comments right now. So that's
Probably.
fine.
It's all good. All right. Are you
Okay.
ready?
Yes,
Are you
let's go
ready
ahead and
to go?
start because yeah, it's shared one place. I'm about to share it another. So yeah, we're good.
All
We're
right.
good.
All right. What's up,
Hi.
everybody? To episode 17 of
Yeah.
Awaken Vlogcast with Morgan and I, and we're talking about triggers. That's today's topic.
Triggers.
Yeah. So we do these
Triggers.
weekly. We do these every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then I also posted in the title of this video our free group. It's just the Awaken Vlogcast community group. We put all the replays in there. So if you ever miss it or want to go back and watch the other episodes we've done, you can go in that group and watch all of them. They're all right there for you to find. So yeah, we're on episode 17. Can you believe that?
That
We've been
is,
doing this for a while.
we have. Like, time has been going faster, I
Yeah.
swear, because it doesn't seem like 17
Yeah.
episodes.
Well,
But that's
so think
good.
about
We
it.
like
17
it.
weeks. Yeah, 17 weeks, and then
Yeah.
some of the weeks we didn't do it or whatever, or we were gone, or things like
Yeah.
that nature. It's
Yeah.
all good. All right, do you want me to get started?
Yeah, let's get started.
I feel like I'm pretty good at getting us started because I always have my list ready.
I
Because
know you do. I have no notes this time, but that's
it's
okay.
okay. We can just go from experience with this because we're talking about triggers. So
That's right.
I just kind of, the only notes I took is like the actual definition of what a trigger is and then how our brain forms it. That's what my notes are. So
Okay,
the
cool.
other stuff's all going to be from experience that we're talking.
Excellent. And anytime you're watching, like, you can comment,
Mm-hmm.
let us know if you've experienced something, or you just want, like, you can comment anytime, and we'll always go back and read the comments.
Yeah. So this is what she's saying is this is an interactive talk. This isn't just Morgan and I talking with each other. We talk to all of our viewers. So we always have people on here commenting like live while
Yeah.
we're going if they have questions or their input or whatever. and it's an open dialogue conversation. It's not just A and B. So that's
right.
the point of this. And we usually get some
Absolutely.
good stuff too, some good interaction. So
Oh, we
I
do.
appreciate that.
And don't mind the fly. I have like flies everywhere. So if you see me like doing
Are
this,
you Lord of the Flies? What's going on?
I'm not. What Beelzebub? We talked about that last time. Lord of
I
the Flies.
know.
No, I'm not. I'm not the devil. No, I'm not the
Are you
devil.
sure? Is this a trick? I'm just kidding. All right. So let's start off with what are triggers, right? So triggers are anything that reminds someone of a previous trauma, whether it's either consciously or subconsciously. And for those of you who know what I do, I'm a Reiki master and an NLP practitioner, and I've talked about what I do with NLP sessions or emotional healing sessions that I do. I'm actually working with clients most of the time to go back to work with trauma. It's to rewire their brain, how their brain's remembering the traumatic event. That's what I do. So what I'm saying is they can consciously remember it and be triggered, or it could be a subconscious program. They're not even aware that they're getting triggered by it.
Those are the tricky ones.
Yes.
Like you don't even know they're there.
Oh yeah.
You gotta go like dig and like find it.
Yeah, I've got more on that down here too. So a trigger is just something that causes an intense emotional reaction based off a past event, right? Because you can't be triggered unless your brain already knows, hey, we need to pay attention to this.
Exactly.
How are they formed in the brain? So when a person's in a life-threatening situation, and I know we've talked about this a little bit before, their body engages in the fight, flight, or freeze response, and the body goes into high alert. So it's prioritizing everything, all of its resources to react to the situation that's presently happening. So that's what it means by going to the fight, flight, or freeze response. And freeze just got added a couple years ago. It used to be just
I was going to say that sounds new. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's new lingo, right? But it's always been around.
Yeah.
There have been people who they don't fight, they don't take off, they just freeze. They don't even know what to do. So they ended up adding that a couple years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
In some cases, a person's brain may misfile the traumatic event in this memory storage bank, right? And when a person does that and it's reminded of the trauma, their body acts as if the event is happening, reminding and returning them to the fight, flight, or freeze response. So I work with a lot of vets that have had PTSD, not even just vets, obviously, clients in general with PTSD. But what I mean by that is when your brain goes back to a certain memory, right, it doesn't know that that's not happening right now. So when you go to a memory in your brain, it thinks it's happening right now, therefore it's going to respond accordingly. So when you trigger a traumatic event memory, it's going to make your brain, is going to tell your body that you're back in that event right now. That's what triggers your body. So that's when you go into the fight, flight, or freeze, even if it's something that happened decades ago, right? That's how it works.
Right.
So that's what I work with people, like rewiring their mind, how their brain is actually remembering the event so that their body is not responding in that fight, flight, or freeze response, because that can wreak havoc on the body over time and on the central nervous system.
It's crazy how that can really affect so much. And a lot of people like disregard stuff. And I know a lot of people like
they think they've dealt with
kind
it.
of, you know how they make fun of the word woke, like woke. They also do like, oh, are you triggered?
I know.
Are you triggered? And like, so it's, a lot of people still don't take it seriously. Like it's, oh, it's not a big deal. Like get over it. We're still very much dealing with that mentality of like, you're being a snowflake. Isn't that another term
that's
too?
the term. Yeah.
Like it's all so rude and mean because these things that we're dealing with mentally are very real.
Yes.
And you can't just get over it. You can't just deal with it. And actually we're told to do that. And then we stuff it. And then we have all these things that manifest in our body. And then we have explosions and outbursts. And people are like, what the hell is your problem? And it's just.
That people literally go postal sometimes.
It's so real. But it's almost like people don't want to acknowledge it. You know,
of course not.
It's like they don't want to deal with it. That's the hardest thing.
That's how they view it.
Yeah. So it's just interesting that we're going through all these different things and how they all connect back together, and everything just connects. I mean, I think everything we've talked about from episode 1, like we could all weave it back and forth together. We've touched on one subject or another in multiple different episodes, and it's just triggers are real and you should not make fun of it.
Yeah. 100%. I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
So I got a couple more things, and then we can talk some more about whatever you have too about this.
Yeah.
So triggers are powerful because they often involve the senses. So when we talked about like the 5 senses, so smells, taste, sounds, touch, like feeling, or hearing, like, or did I already say sounds? Wait,
Yeah, you said sounds. But like, yeah,
I forget which one.
auditory.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you've got
Yeah.
visual. So you got
Yeah.
things you can see, things you can hear, things you can feel, things you can taste. Oh, smell. That was the other one. Or did I
Yeah.
say that one? Okay, so those are
You
your
said it.
favorite.
Yeah. All
It's
your
weird.
senses. Yeah.
I know, yeah. I'm getting confused, but that's what it is. It's your main
Yeah.
senses. So if you
Yeah.
go into a traumatic event, right, that's why it's so easy for your body to recall those things because, and I'll share my story later after we're talking about this, but when you have a traumatic event happening, like I said, your body's in a heightened um, situation. It's really paying attention to everything.
It's very
Um,
alert. Like it's just,
that's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
it's like,
So it's very
bing, like
alert.
all
So yeah,
your
like
little
it's
feelers are out there.
yeah. So you're like super sensitive, right, to all of those senses we talked about. So that's why. Let's use an example that this person was abused by their father, who was an alcoholic, and
Mm-hmm.
he also smoked. So you have to think whatever he was saying to that person, or if they were hitting that person, the smell of alcohol, the smell of cigarettes, whatever, the smell of the dad's cologne, right? All of those
Yeah.
things are going to be encapsulated in that traumatic memory. So then,
Yeah.
say like
Hey, dude,
years later,
go.
they're
That one
out in a
thing.
public
Go on.
place and they
Yeah.
smell some of those
Okay,
senses
come on.
that they picked up, like the cigarettes or the like maybe the same cologne or something like that, and then they immediately get triggered, and their body will start responding just like they're there again. But they didn't know that's what was happening, right? They just smelled the cologne
Right.
and they're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
In some cases, a sensor trigger can cause an emotional reaction before a person realizes why they are upset. So that's what I was just talking about. Um, it can be the smell. It could be they could hear somebody that maybe sounds similar to someone they had a traumatic experience with, something like that. Or it can be smell. It can be touch. Any of those things. Taste.
Mm-hmm.
So you can think of triggers though as like a spotlight on what needs to be healed or released. So that's what I've talked about, and we've talked about on here before, people. If someone's doing something and they're triggering you, you should use that as like a good thing because
Mm-hmm.
that's showing you that you haven't actually healed that past event. You haven't actually released that. It's still bothering you. There's still something underneath there under the surface that still needs healed to release or to let go of. And then the last thing I have, and then we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about, are when someone else is triggered by you, it sometimes has nothing to do with you and more to do with a similar or previous experience they went through. And that's kind of what I just said too.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time when people are triggered, it has nothing to do with you. You're just reminding them of something or
Right.
someone that they had a previous experience with. Now,
Yeah.
that sucks for them because they might start responding to you how they would respond to that person, and you're caught off guard, like, what the hell is going
You're
on? Because
like,
you have no
whoa,
idea.
bro. Like,
Yeah,
what's going on?
which can cause it to get even worse as far as conflict and stuff like that goes, or
Yeah.
you're being triggered. So that's what I got.
Gotcha. No, that's good. You're kind of like an expert in all that because you help people with those different things. And I'm not seeing any comments, which is okay, but I just want to make sure my phone's not messing
I
up.
see comments, so let me see
Okay,
if I can read. You don't see any?
I don't see any comments.
Okay, let me go. There's a
It's
couple.
I'm sure it's something from
So
my phone. So,
Julio said triggers are real.
hmm
And then Stephanie is, let me see if let me click on hers because it's longer. Oh, it did
okay,
work.
yeah,
Oh, hold on.
that's good. Yeah.
She said, I have recently been going through my childhood memories and I've been analyzing my reactions. The more I point things out to myself, the more I see them, and then the changes start snowballing in a beautiful way. Once you recognize the reaction, you can rewire a new reaction. Exactly. That's what
hmm
I do in emotional healing sessions with people. Tulio said kids, right? To you, Morgan.
Kids. Oh yes, they just had a bath and they're coming in like, "Hi, mom." I'm like, "Dude, it's fine now." But yeah,
Yeah,
kids.
it's all
That's
good.
my life. I got 3 of them, so.
Yeah. So you hit it right on, Stephanie, whenever you said that about when you recognize how it's responding, and that's where your power is. When I tell people and
Yes.
clients and stuff about getting your power back, that's what I mean. It's not letting something that happened so long ago still dictate your life and how you're responding now. It doesn't mean it didn't happen, but it's not serving you now. That's what I mean by that. So then you get to choose how you
Yeah.
want to actually remember that. And that's the cool thing about the human brain, right? So even our memories are not actually what happened, it's what we think happened or our perspective of what happened. And
hmm
every time we revisit a memory, we slightly change it just by revisiting it in our mind. So that's
Isn't
why
that interesting?
it is so cool. So what I mean by that
Yeah.
is you can literally go in and rewire and change what you'd rather the memory to be to better serve you and to better have your body respond differently. And that's what I do.
Yeah. Something I started doing, I don't remember if I read it or I'm funny that way. It's like I remember things, but not like always where I heard them from. And it might have been from you because I learn a lot from you. But like, so if you want to go back, like if you don't have anyone to work with, but if you want to go back to a specific time and just kind of like pretend you're talking to yourself, your past self as your future self, like
Yeah.
that's helped me in a lot of situations. So just saying like, hey, like I know you're going through a tough time right now,
Yeah.
but you're going to get through this. So you're like creating this kind of alternate reality in your mind, but who's to say
That's not really happening.
that's not really happening?
Yeah.
So that's I've found really beneficial for me. And I think a lot of people, like if they can go back and talk to their inner child, or like, you know, a lot of things happen in childhood,
Yeah.
and, you know, just go back in time and give your inner child a hug and say,
Yeah.
you're awesome. Like, I know this sucks right now, but man, you're going to grow up and you're going to be so awesome. So just using that, at least in my mind, using that as a tool is a great place to start. Just go back to yourself in time and just talk to yourself. Whatever you needed to hear back then, go tell yourself that.
Yeah. So what Morgan's talking about, it's actually called the integration technique. And I wouldn't recommend doing it if it's something super traumatic. You need somebody else to walk you through that so you don't get stuck in that.
Just little things.
Yeah, little
huge
things.
Yeah.
This is what she's talking about. You can do on your own with this. So she's talking about the integration technique. So basically, let's say shorthand of it is you can visualize your younger self, however old you were, what you looked like when you were going through this traumatic event, right? And you look at this younger version of yourself and you just look at their face, see how they look. You can ask them to come over. You can talk to them. You can, like she said, say things that you needed to hear back then, and have them tell you things that they needed to say or whatever. You can also, there's called a borrowing technique, where when you're visualizing that younger self across from you, borrowing meaning you have the universe as your catalog, and you can bring things in that would make this little girl or little boy version of you happy. Maybe it was like a favorite dog that you had, so you can visualize that dog next to them when this traumatic event's happening. And what you're doing is, when you do those things, you're actually changing the memory. And every time you do it, you can go back and change it to something else until eventually, what happens a lot of times with people, like clients that I work with on the traumatic events, it's not necessarily that the memory goes away, right? The original memory. They're like, well, I know what happened, but it's like not a big deal. It's almost like it didn't happen to them is how they feel, or they felt like they were watching a movie and it happened, but it wasn't actually happening to them anymore. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. Just how you can kind of change your perspective like that. Because
That's
the
where
only
the
thing that
programs
actually
come from,
exists
people.
is now.
Yep.
Like yes, the past happened, but it's in the past. Like it's not real anymore, because the only real thing is now.
In your mind, right?
Yeah.
So why not change it for however you want it to be?
Exactly. And time stuff is weird. Like when you start talking about time and how it works and what it is and what it isn't, and you really start trying to think about it, like it's really bizarre. Like I've said this before, but I remember as a kid, like trying to think about like when you die and go to heaven, you're there forever, and just trying to comprehend what forever is, like never end. Like you cannot comprehend forever, just like never ending. Always, it's always been there. It always will be there. It's just one of those things that the human mind can't wrap itself around. At least mine can't.
Yeah. Well,
really
that's why
bizarre.
my view is, we're all energy, we're all connected, and once energy is created, it never ceases to exist. It just transmutes form in one way or another. And we're always expanding because the universe is always expanding, and we are a part of the universe.
That is so true. We need to do one on time sometime. And that one would take a lot of notes. Sometime. That's funny.
Dad jokes.
Dad jokes. That's right.
I'm going to go back up.
I can see comments on my computer.
Okay, can you see Stephanie's that she just commented?
During a recent meditation, I cradled my crying child self. It was pretty phenomenal. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, that's awesome. And that's super healing, because what you're doing is you're healing that part, that fracture. Sometimes they're called a fracture. You're healing that part of you that was fractured and bringing it back. And obviously it never left, but you're telling your brain, hey, I'm here, I'm protected. And it really does change after you do that, how your body responds now when you think about that memory, because now you're going to remember this other feeling instead. It's pretty awesome.
Can there be positive triggers? Because, I mean, I guess the term trigger is basically used for negative things, but if we're talking about
it in the context of negative things, but yes, I do believe there are good triggers, because good or bad
smells, I will like a good smell and you're like, oh, that brings me back to that time in high school. It's just a feeling. Or like, oh, like there's a cologne, like when my husband wears it, I'm like, oh, that reminds me of when we first started dating, because that's a cologne he wore all the time. So I guess it wouldn't be called triggers, but it's just a trigger is just a trigger.
So the only reason we hold memories, good or bad, whether they're really heightened good things or really heightened bad things, is because of the heightened states and emotions that are going in it. So it can be good or they can be bad. And yes, depending on either heightened sense or heightened emotion, it's going to have those senses with it. So yes, that would make sense that when you have a good memory, you have all the good triggers. So I actually do that with people too. When we're working on a memory, I will go in and I'll replace it a lot of times with a good memory instead. Has nothing to do with memory we just worked on. I'll take them to, like, before the session, I'll ask them some of their favorite memories, and then I'll anchor those memories, or more so those emotions, those good feelings from those memories, to this past negative memory. And it's called a good-bad collapse. It'll flip it, because you can't feel both of them at once. And one is going to be overpowering over the other.
That's cool. You've done that with me a few times, and it's really, it's really interesting how well it works. And I know you've worked with my husband a lot, who's a veteran, has PTSD. He doesn't mind me sharing this stuff, otherwise I wouldn't. But Ashton's worked a lot with him, and it's like the progress he's made it's like night and day difference. And every now and then, because nobody's perfect, he'll get triggered by something, but he's recognizing it faster. He's like, okay, this is not the new me. This is kind of reverting back to the old me, and he's able to catch it and fix it and redirect his energy back to where it's supposed to be, like, so much quicker. So I personally can attest to how much it works for me, and seeing it happen in somebody else that's close to me. So it's really helpful.
And that's why I work with people doing those things, because I believe we all deserve to live our best life, right? And just to be happy and not be constantly, obviously, in fight, flight, or freeze mode all the time, just triggered.
That's not a fun way to live.
No.
It's awful.
And it's exhausting, and it's going to lead to other health problems. I mean, our nervous system cannot handle it's not meant to stay on all the time.
Yeah.
Like that. It's meant to help us survive. That's, when we were like cavemen and cavewomen, that was like, oh, well, there's a saber tooth coming or whatever.
There's a tiger. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We got to run or fight.
Exactly.
Whatever. Yeah.
Either run really fast or kill this thing and eat it. I don't know what you're going to do, or he's going to eat you. So.
Exactly. But you shouldn't have that. Like, I know, gosh, I feel like so many people, they're so stressed out about different things about life. And I mean, think about work, people that go to work and they have like a really crappy boss, or they have a coworker that just gets on their nerves. I mean, they probably go to work.
Have those? I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know, yeah. But they probably go to work just like prepared, like with their shields up, just ready to deal with this crappy boss or this crappy coworker. And then they live in that, 8+ hours a day, 5 days a week. And so that's consuming so much energy.
Lifestyle.
Yeah. And I mean, I worked in corporate America before, and I mean, it's just stressful, and you're just heightened all the time, and you eventually become used to it, and then you get sick, and like, it's just crap.
Or your kid does something, just being a kid,
and then you
snap. Freak out on them.
Yeah, you snap at home when you should leave work at work, but you bring it home with you because you're in that mode most of the time.
Yeah.
And it's not healthy at all.
And the most important thing why it's good to work on these things is, like we just talked about, the mind-body connection, because it will lead to something else. Energy is energy, right? It never ceases to exist. So if you don't transform it, it's going to turn into something else. And that's what we always talk about, the mind-body connection. That's how disease and illnesses manifest. And that's what's really cool. So there's been stuff I've talked a little bit on here before too, clients that have had illnesses or diseases or chronic pain or whatever, right? That this doctor told them, well, you're just going to have this forever. You're just going to have to take all these pills, you know, for the rest of your life. And most of them are like, okay, well, there's no other way, right? Because they think there's no other way. Or they
They
come
just
see
accept
me.
it.
Yeah, they come see me and they're like, I just want to try something else, right? To see if this works. And then it's funny too, because when we come in and start working on those things, 9 times out of 10, it has nothing to do, like, yes, we can target the specific pain, let's say chronic pain, like this person has a back problem. We can target the back problem, but 9 times out of 10, it has nothing to do with the actual back problem itself. That's a secondary symptom to the root cause, which is whatever emotion or whatever. So I'm really good at getting to those root causes too.
Yeah.
But basically, you just start asking the questions, like, about the pain, and that's what we talked about with the triggers, right? Like, why am I triggered? When did I feel this way before? Like, all those things. And you start to ask questions like that and a whole bunch of other questions. But to get to the root cause of what this pain really means. And it's crazy how it ends up being linked sometimes to things that people had no idea they were linked to.
It's just buried under layers, like an onion.
Yeah.
You just got to like peel off the layer. I think of Shrek, you know,
That's
like
what
the
I
onion. Yeah.
It is true. That is 100% accurate, because then I've even had, so the crazy thing with that is I've had sessions where I'm doing a session on somebody and say it started as back pain. We start working on it, right? And we'll do one round of it and it'll move either up their back or somewhere else. They're like, well, I don't feel it now. Now I feel it this place. I'm like, okay. And then I'll start asking certain questions again and eliciting what it is. Go through another round and it's moved again and now it's somewhere else, or it feels lighter or whatever. It's crazy how these
It's like
things,
trying to hide. It's like, whoop,
yeah.
I'm gonna go here.
Well, and I think it's like what you talked about, the layers. We're taking a little bit off, so it's like, okay, well, now I'm going to move here. I made a little bit less. And then, okay, now I'm going to move here. And you just keep doing that until it's gone. So.
It's just crazy how much is hiding.
Yeah.
Physically and emotionally in our bodies just from things that have happened in the past and our mind holding on to it. It's just really incredible and really weird.
Lorraine said EFT is a great tool to help with triggers and healing. So I also am a faster EFT practitioner, so it's less spots, but I also use some of those techniques also when I'm doing my sessions. So NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, the language of your mind, the wiring of your mind, how it works, all that. And then I also use the faster EFT to address certain things with tapping.
You got all kinds of tools in your toolbox.
And it's because it's all stuff that's helped me. And I want to keep learning even more than I already know, right? I want to keep learning things because not one size fits all, right? Like an NLP session could help one person, and then this other person really needs just Reiki, and then that totally changes their life. So,
do you usually know that before, like when you do like a consultation, or does sometimes it take you like getting into it to see like, oh, this isn't working so well? Maybe like we need to. Okay, I was gonna say you're pretty intuitive.
Yeah. So that's my intuition, right? Is the knowing and the feeling. Like, so I follow those guides when I'm doing my consultation with people, and that's why I'm good at getting to the root of it, knowing what it really is. It's almost like I get a ping when they're talking about something, and I'm like, that thing. I've had the coolest thing for me is I've had literally sessions with another person that did not speak like any English, right? And
really? Okay.
yeah, and her daughter came to translate. And of course, I'm listening to her daughter because I don't understand everything she's saying, but I'm watching the mom. Okay. And so I don't know what she's saying, but I'm watching her. And this is what things you learn in NLP to watch certain, it's called sensory acuity. You watch for certain things. So when she's sitting there talking, I'm watching and I'm like, what is that thing she just said right there? Whatever she just said, that's it. That's because I could see it flip. Yeah. So when you go to memory, sensory acuity, like it's crazy. Our mind-body connection is it's insane. So when you go to a certain memory, like I could tell you when you're going to that memory, I can see right when you start to go into it. And it's you look for certain cues on the face, like people's face will get more full or red, their lips will get more full or go up or down depending on what kind of memory. You'll see their eyes move a little bit. It's the craziest thing, but so you can see right when they're going into it. So that's why during a session, that's why I said if it's something bad, like pretty bad for you, don't go through this yourself. Always work with a practitioner because we're able to notice when you go in and we can pull you out if we know you're getting too deep. Like if you're getting sucked into the emotions too much where it's going to be not good for you, we'll pull you out. And there's
That's
techniques
good.
that we use for
Because
that.
that happens.
So,
Like it can get
yep.
really overwhelming.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I'm just kidding. Jeremy had to come and get his computer. I'm like, disturbing me. I'm just kidding. It's fine. I had a question, and then Jeremy came in, and I forgot my question.
Okay. Well, here, I'll talk about something, and I'm sure it'll come back to you.
Okay.
Don't think about it, and it'll come back to you.
I know. Okay, yeah.
Okay. So, and the reason I even got into NLP and the tapping and all of those things is because I've had my own personal experiences. Anybody that follows me or my page or anything like that knows some of my story. I've shared quite a few times. I'm still continuing to share it because I've got new people all the time. But I've been through some pretty traumatic events in my life. One of the biggest one was definitely when my cousin passed away in a car wreck. And I was right there on scene right after it happened. It was super traumatic, but I could go into it, right? Like, I can talk about it now, and it's just crazy because I'm watching my face and, like, nothing. Like, you should have seen this back in the day. Anyway, so I could go back to that memory, and I could tell you the sights, the smells, the feelings in my body, all of those things. And then it was like, when you go into something traumatic, too, when your mind is revisiting it, it's like it goes in slow motion, so you can see every detail of things that are going on around you. It's pretty intense. So when I first got into this, and I was having sessions done for myself, right? Because when you go through the training, you have to go through sessions. I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. And I knew this was a big one for me. And I was like, all right, if this can change this, it can change anything. I always go in open-minded because I'm an open-minded person, and I believe lots of things work for different people. And it was insane, the session that I had, the very first session I ever had for myself, specifically working on that event. And when I saw how it flipped it and changed it, I was like, holy shit, this is going to change everything.
Yeah.
And then I've used it for other events since then, but that's where it started for me. And I was like, holy shit, this really works.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think just having an open mind is really key to everything. Just being willing to accept something that may seem a little bit different, and like just try it. Like the worst that happens is nothing happens. And
you get the placebo, the nocebo effect too. So if you believe it's not going to work, of course it's not going to work. You've already made up your mind.
Well, your mind's so closed to it. It's like, nope, this is stupid. This is dumb. This is hippie voodoo shit, and I'm not going to be a part of it.
I like to just go in with an open mind to things and think of, okay, well, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to be right back where I am. Oh, big whoop. Okay.
Nothing changed. Okay.
Exactly. But what's the best that could happen? Like, what if this changes everything?
Yeah.
So
I like to believe more people are getting to be more open-minded with stuff like this, because people are sharing about it too.
That's
like,
what I was about to say.
Helped
like
me.
Yes.
And then just by sharing our truth and sharing our stories, other people become more open to the possibility of trying it. And that's why it's so important. And one of the reasons why we do this is just to share and speak about our experiences and what we know, even what we don't know, but just talking openly about anything and everything, because that's conversations are where things start. Because when we stay closed up all the time and just in our box and like afraid to speak out, worried what other people are going to think, that doesn't do anybody any good. Nope. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help your kids or your friends.
They're going to continue those cycles.
Exactly. And oh my gosh, we have to break cycles. There's so many cycles that have just continued on and on. I mean, we can go back thousands of years, generational trauma and sadness and just things getting passed down, and it has to stop somewhere. So why not with you? Like with me, I'm like, you know what? I had a really great upbringing, but I still had programming. There's still things I've had to work on. There's things I don't want to pass on to my kids. And I'm saying like, okay, I'm going to work on it with me, which it sucks sometimes, and you go through all these emotions, but it is so worth it. Because
you actually become out on the other side of it more powerful.
Yeah, and I feel that way. Yeah. And that's not in like a conceited way, like I'm all powerful, but it's just you feel confident. Yeah, like I'm the shit. Like everyone should feel like, yeah, I'm the shit. Like
Yeah.
I'm awesome.
I did that. I
Yeah,
decided.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
So it's just all the programming around that. And I've done a lot of work on that programming, just and confidence in
You've
myself.
come a long way with that.
I
Like,
have
good
come a
for
long
you.
way.
Like, I will applaud you from when you first started with that. Like, it's crazy. Like, in
Yeah.
a good way.
Yeah, and it feels good. And
Yeah.
you
It
know,
radiates from you now. You can tell.
I wanted to stop it because I don't want my kids to have to deal with that. Whatever their journey is, whatever generational traumas it is for them to break, I want to kind of take that first step, and then they don't have to deal with whatever it is I've dealt with.
Yeah.
They can take it a step further and then further on. So it has to start somewhere. And for my family, it's going to start with me.
Yeah.
And same with my husband. Like, he's doing stuff too. And I'm like, so we don't pass that on to our kids.
And you should always want to be the best version of yourself. If not for anybody else, for you. Because if you supposedly only have this one life to live, why would you not want to live your best version, your best self, the best life that you have possible?
Exactly.
My question is,
why not?
Let's see. Lorraine said, I've learned that technique as a reflexologist, watching my client's face, so I'm not hurting them badly. Sensory acuity. Is that how it is spelled? No, it's acuity. So I don't believe there's an
Acuity.
R. Yeah.
Okay. Just A-C-U-I-T-Y? Acuity.
Right. You'll ask me that, and I'm like, I don't even know right now. I can't.
I'm like, I don't know.
I can write it out and tell you, but.
Yeah. So what, if you don't mind sharing, I can always share too. What are some of the things, because none of us are perfect, what are things that still trigger you, or things that you're still actively working on?
Let's just talk about this a little bit. All right. So I haven't shared with everybody because I've been working on my triggers for the past, what are we in, 8th month? So the past 8 months, I've been doing some deep ass work.
Yeah.
All right, I've been through some stuff. Morgan knows that I'm not 100% ready to share all of it, but just know I've been working through some stuff. 2019 is like a year about bringing old wounds to the surface, and this is happening for so many people. I can tell you so many people that I know that are also going through these things, and I'm like, it's a real deal. It's because right now
it's a cleansing year or something.
It is,
it's like,
purging year. Like, hey,
rough.
You have to deal with this. You have to face it. Yeah. And there's a saying going around that you have to bring up the old to heal, to release, so that you can see 2020 in 2020. Meaning that your bullshit veil, your programs or whatever are gone, and now you're just seeing it for what it is. Not for
I like that
program that's running.
2020 vision.
Yeah. So for me personally, let's use this as an example of a significant other that I was with that was ended up not being a very nice person. And I'm a pretty caring person. I'm a pretty sensitive person. So it really hurt me, right? Well, when this first started happening and going down, I felt it. I felt the despair, the depression, like all these things. But I'm smart enough to know, or emotionally intelligent enough to know that it had nothing to even do with that person. Even though I was going through it with that person, it actually had to do, it was further back than that. It was stuff with my mom. And I've done a lot of work with my mom. I've shared stories on this, on here, a lot about her. But I recognized that it wasn't even stuff this person was doing. Like, what they were doing was shitty. But how I was reacting had nothing even to do with that. It was deeper because I was repeating some of the same emotions that I had of like abandonment or not being good enough or whatever. So the trick is when you're working with triggers, you always want to go to the earliest time you felt that way. So something could be happening now, and there could be a time right before that was similar, but is it the very first time that happened? Because a lot of the times it's not. And like Morgan said earlier, a lot of them happen in early childhood. So going back as early as you can, that is the best. So that's where my stuff was. It was from early on in childhood, right? So that's stuff that I worked on. Well, even more just recently, I realized there's still a little bit there. You know, as much work as I've done, and I can respond and talk about it now, and it's not the exact same, but there's a little bit hint of anger in there.
Which is okay.
Yeah, and that's fine to feel those things. Don't ever like.
Don't ever say like, oh, I can't feel mad because that's bad.
Feel it.
Wrong. Like, just feel that feeling, or you're going to end up stuffing it, and then it's going to explode later. And that's not
whatever feeling or emotion there is to feel it. Don't judge
Your
yourself for what it
feelings are
is.
okay. It's
Yeah,
okay to have
because
your
that's
feelings.
the only way you move through it is to
Yeah.
feel it. You have to feel it to heal it. Okay.
Yep. And it
So,
sucks sometimes,
oh yeah, it's super
but
painful. You're like, man, this
it's
really is the
a
worst.
necessity. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you just have to have the mindset, or I should say, and you just have to have the mindset that you know that you doing the work is going to change us, where you'll never have to feel this thing that you're feeling ever again once you get through it. So that's what's pretty awesome.
That is
So
awesome.
for me, that's what's brought up, the past couple of days when things have went down. That
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's still a little bit of something there. I need to work on that a little bit
I'm like,
more.
let's work on
So
that. But you have those
yeah,
tools and that knowledge there.
exactly.
You're not just like, oh my, you don't just like go into like complete meltdown mode. You're
Dude,
just like, oh shit,
I
okay,
am
let's do some more
so
work.
thankful for the tools that I have had because you don't understand because I haven't told everybody all the things that have happened in the past 8 months. But I would not be where I'm
It's some
at
shit.
in 8 months had I not had the tools that I've had and done the work that I've been doing. And in the beginning, I knew some of this stuff was so deep that even I couldn't do it, right? So I reached out to other
Yeah.
practitioners that I knew. I've had hypnotist sessions. I've had other NLP practitioners, other faster EFT practitioners. I've had sessions with them because sometimes, this is why I said don't work on the hard stuff by yourself. Your brain's going to try to protect you because it's all it wants to do, right? So sometimes you think you're getting to the root cause, but you're not because it's still stopping you. There's still a little door it's like protecting, like, oh yeah, here you go, here's all your stuff. And then you think you're healing it, but you're really not.
It's like that hidden closet of stuff like, oh,
Exactly.
don't look in there.
Yeah,
That's
nothing's in there.
fine.
Yeah.
It's just
I mean, you've
ignore
got
it.
boys, they probably clean their room and something's like under the bed and they're like, oh, nothing's
Oh
there.
yeah.
But
I'm like, you told me you cleaned. Like, what's all
I
this
did.
crap under your bed or in the closet? No,
Exactly.
that's not
So
clean.
it's like that in your brain.
Yeah.
But just know when you're working with another practitioner, they are able to dive deeper. They're able to ask the harder question, get down to the root cause subconsciously that you're not able to do sometimes because you can't be conscious and work on your subconscious at the same time
Yeah.
with the really deep stuff. It doesn't work
Yeah.
that way. You
Yeah.
need someone that's trained to do that. And it's important to know who your practitioner is. I would stress do your research because just like with anything, they're messing in your mind, right? So it can really affect you, and you want to make sure you get someone that's certified. Look for testimonials of people that, and like Morgan said, the word of mouth that people have actually had an experience with that person. That's who you
and
need
trust
to
your
look for.
vibes too. Trust your gut.
100%.
Like if you got like a weird
you get a weird vibe,
like,
not
just
for you.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go somewhere else. Yeah.
So that's all I got on it. Sorry, I kind of rambled, but
No,
that's what
good.
happens when I get in line with whatever's supposed to come through. Like it just comes, and I'm just like, wow.
Just like, bleh.
It does.
Here we go.
It's
just
intense
throw it up.
sometimes, and I get really sweaty when it comes like that. It's weird.
Oh, do you?
So go for it. You can talk now for a second.
Okay. So, we always talk beforehand, what are we going to talk about tonight? And so we were, we decided on triggers. And so I'm like, okay, so what triggers me specifically? And, the things that were really rough for me in the past, like I worked through them, they don't necessarily trigger me anymore, which is really awesome. But of course, there are still things that come up. And as I'm speaking my truth more and living my truth more, things are coming to light. So I notice things that I get really passionate about and can get really frustrated when people just don't get it. So if you follow me at all, which I'm sure you do, I kind of share everything. And so I've lately been talking a lot about like spiritual things like God and religion, and which is very like a touchy subject, especially here in the Bible Belt, and just because there's so much programming around religion and spirituality.
It could be blasphemous for even talking about it.
It is very blasphemous. So
to some people, for the close-minded.
Everything I share, it's meant to be, open your mind. It's meant with love. I'm never like, oh, like these people are bad. I'm like, hey, here's what I think. Like it's all about. I really think like it's just about love. The problems with everything is a lack of love. There's just a lack of love. There's so much judgment. Even though, you're not supposed to judge, you're looking at the Bible. So anyways, I get triggered around religious stuff. When I share something that's just meant for love, just, just a different perspective, no hate whatsoever. And people automatically it's almost like in a scolding way.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll just like they'll just like insert their opinion as if putting words in my mouth from a post. I'm like, I never said that anywhere. So it's interesting how I'm finding,
because you triggered them.
Yeah, because it's a trigger to them, even though it's never, I don't post anything hateful. I do post controversial things like, hey, there's some shit going down in the world. It's ugly and it's nasty, but you need to know about it. People don't want to hear it. But anyway, back to the religious stuff. It seems to trigger people, even though I mean it in a loving way. It's just a mind-opening thing, because since I've been through my experiences, there's just so much more freedom, and I love deep thinking and deep conversations with people, just talking about anything and everything, and what is God, what isn't God, how does that relate to all of this? Mm-hmm. And it's funny how the more I speak about it, and the more people feel the need to insert their opinion, mm-hmm. Which is fine. I post publicly, but then it triggers me back, because I'm like, how can you possibly think that way? And then I'm like, well, I used to think that way.
Yes.
But I also used to have these discussions with my husband, who used to be very closed-minded with that stuff, and it was so frustrating, because I'm like, how do you, like, you're the one person in this world that should love me, you're my teammate in this life, and like you're just like, you're butting heads, like you won't even listen to me. So it's just been interesting to see that come up more, which just shows me I have more work to do around it, and
then not
whatever
judge yourself
work
for
that may be. So
you can kind of get excited. Like, I get excited when I have a trigger. I know it's like a weird thing to say, but I'm like, oh sweet, something else I can work on, because I am always trying to be the best version of myself. So it's an opportunity for me when a trigger comes up. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, there's some stuff I still need to work on there. So I look forward to it. I kind of celebrate triggers in a weird way.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not weird, but it's good, because we're never going to be at a point where we know everything. I know. Yeah. Yeah. Weird is like not bad. Weird is good. It's just interesting to go through all these things, and just to, as your perspective changes and just your thinking changes, and we're always going to be evolving and changing and growing. And that's
you should never be stagnant. 100%.
Oh yeah. You don't want to be stagnant. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of people probably are. Like they want to be comfortable and just stay there.
I was going to say,
but then life usually happens, and then they're like really pissed off. And then, you're kind of forced to.
You see all that time happen with people, let's use cancer for so many people, right? It'll take something like that, as sad as that is and as horrible as that is, it will take something like that for somebody to change. And even then, I've seen people that haven't. And obviously they ended up succumbing to it. But or they'll lose a job, like maybe they were so comfortable in this job that they were making good money or whatever, even though they were miserable and they were an asshole and they were stressed out all the time. They'll stay at this job until they get fired, and then they don't have a choice, and then they have to start, responding differently.
Yep.
I was going to ask you, first, before I ask you the question, so again, your intention is everything. If you say something like Morgan's saying, she's posting things or saying things out of love, and it's triggering something else, it's not up to you how that person takes whatever you're saying, whatever you're doing. I'm not saying be an asshole, I'm saying your intention is everything. So if you're saying it with love and from a good space in your heart, it's not up to you, and you cannot control how the other person is receiving it, because you have to remember if that person has their own programs that they're responding out of that have nothing to do with you.
True.
So my question for you, so when you were talking about the religious stuff for you, that's a trigger, right? What's the earliest you remember that? Like something like that happening?
We're going to do this. I just remember having to go to church just like as a little kid. And I'm just like, why are we doing this? Is pointless. This is boring.
Yeah.
And like the only good thing was the donuts at the end. I
got Trident gum and drawing. That's what I used to do in big people church.
Really? Yeah. No, it was just, it was just awful. And have to go to like Bible study and like sit in these classes. And
did you ever ask questions as a kid? That's what I was going to ask too. Like, did you question
No, I just,
religion in any way, and where you responded
not
by
externally.
Okay.
Not externally. It was just more like, oh, like I don't want to, and like, they want you to dress up nice, because we grew up Catholic, and nothing against that, but just had to dress up nice, and you had to sit and be quiet, and it was just awful and boring, and it's just like those things that you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Like, this is just what you're supposed to do. And now here I am as an adult. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to do that? I don't want to do that. I don't have to do that because I'm my own boss. Like, no one's going to tell me what I have to do. I'm allowed to question things now. But no, it was funny. We never really had discussions about what is God, or it was just kind of like, there's a God, which I believe there's a God. What is God is a whole different subject.
Yeah.
But there were never like open conversations about any of that. It's like, you just go to church, you dress up nice.
And how did that make you feel?
That's just what you do. It's just frustrating.
Okay.
It's just pointless.
And so
like,
now when
why?
somebody responds that way to your post or something about it, how does it make you feel?
Almost like sorry for them.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there are so many people that feel that same way, like trapped. Trapped feel like this is what you're supposed to do. And it's almost like I want to reach my hand out and be like, you don't have to like do what you're supposed to do if it doesn't feel right. It's always a deep wondering for me. I'm like, what's under all of that? Like, is that truly what you feel, or is that programming? I find that a lot with myself. I'm like, what program is this?
But at least you're asking the questions. That's where awareness truly is. That's emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
That you're always asking yourself those questions. Like, is this really how I feel, or is this a program that I'm running?
Yeah.
So another thing with that too, we want to, as helpers, right, as light workers and all these things, we want to shake people, we want to wake them up, we want them to know what we know, right?
Slap them sometimes, like, oh my God.
But we have to remember, like Morgan said earlier, we haven't always we haven't always thought this way. We haven't always felt this way.
Yeah.
At one point, we were that person that was asleep, right? Like, we didn't understand it until something clicked, until something happened. So we have to respect other people's journey, too. So what I mean by that is, you can't shake them and tell them, hey, wake up, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to feel. Instead, what we can do, because the only thing we can control is ourselves, is work on ourselves, our inner world, and project that outwardly. And then when people see that, then they'll ask questions, and then they will be open to whatever tools or whatever knowledge you can share with them, and then they will change. That's how change happens. It's just like what you were saying with church. You telling them, hey, do this, whatever, that's not going to make them change. They have to be willing and wanting to do so. Exactly. And when they see how you're, responding, or how you're living because of things you're doing, they're like, oh, Morgan's doing that. I should probably check that out. She seems pretty freaking happy. She's a little glowy today.
Glowy. I do
They say that about pregnant ladies, so why can't you not be pregnant and be glowy? I think you can. It's your aura.
I guess you could. It's just the energy, just the aura. I do have people that reach out and just ask me things because they know, or they'll be like a friend of mine the other day, she's like, I just love how you're just living your best life. You just speak your truth. I love that. I wish I could be like that. I'm like, oh, so.
You never know who's watching.
So as much as people think I don't give a F, I still run through things in my mind. I still run through things in my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll think of specific people. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what do they think? I know they're thinking something, but then I remind myself, I'm like, you're not doing this for the people that are going to judge you. You're doing this because people need to see it's okay to be yourself. You're not doing it for the judgy people. You're doing it for the people that feel lost and that are looking for change, and like,
first and foremost, you're doing it for yourself.
Right.
And
obviously.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's not a selfish thing.
Yeah. But it's nice to, because someone did that for me. People shared their truth. They got me thinking, and they were so confident in themselves. I'm like, I want to be like that. And so now I'm like trying to be like that. so that other people can realize, oh, I can be like that too, and create this
The
ripple effect.
I love it.
You know, so if we're all the ocean, we're all just one drop of water, but one drop of water can create a huge ripple effect. And
that's how great change happens.
Yeah. And
that's
so
how revolution happens.
I focus on those that are just looking for something different, you know, that are boxed up and they're like, oh, I just wish somebody out there would understand, or I wish does anyone else think the way that I do?
See, that's
and I'm like, well, I'll say what I think, and maybe that helps you in some way. Yeah.
So like with me, I don't go looking even for that, right? I'm just me. And those people always show up. Like you talked about, there'll be messages or texts or whatever, comments on here. And it's the coolest thing. And it's a good feeling because sometimes when you're doing this hard work, you don't think, you're like, why even do this? Like, even though you know that, but your brain's trying to, your ego self is
your
trying
ego.
Like, why even do this? This is stupid.
Like your ego's like, shut up. It's weird.
But you really don't know who's watching. And some of the people that have contacted me and have said things to me about what I do, even when I do like the Reiki share, right? Every Monday night that I do the Reiki share, my dog might start barking in a second. People have reached out to me and told me how much that's impacted them. And it's just something simple that I wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I have an intention that this is going to help people, but I didn't know on what scale that it was going to help people. Like I had an idea, but the scale was even bigger than what I could have as an idea. And it's cool to see that come back and people tell you those things. Like, oh my God, I needed this so much today. And I'm like, dude, that's so cool. Like that makes my day every time people say stuff like that. I'm like, thank you.
Makes me happy.
Yeah. So one of my learning techniques, so we talked about NLP, we talked about the senses. So I'm a very auditorial person and a kinesthetic person. So that means feelings, how I feel about something. That's a lot of my programs come from that, or what someone's saying to me. So that means like if someone were to say something negative to me, that's going to stick even more than if they were to like physically hit me, which I know it sounds crazy, but same thing goes if it's positive though, right? If someone says something positive to me, that's going to stick in my memory bank, like boom, right at the top. Like, oh yeah, like I can recall word for word things people have said to me, and it's just like, makes me feel good. Even just talking about it right now, I feel my heart chakra warm and it feels good. So
it's like, oh, my heart. Let's see. Oh, Mary Jo.
She's talking about you being a Catholic. Sit stand. I went to a Catholic funeral before, and that's exactly how it was. And that was the first time I've ever been to a Catholic thing, though, because my family was like, I don't know what they were, Baptist, I don't know, whatever.
There's some church people.
They went to church on Sunday. Anyway, so I went to a funeral, and I had no idea what to expect. So when everybody started, there's like a knee thing down there. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I did not know. We kept getting up. I'm like, are we leaving?
I'm just imagining you like never having done that. You're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, and then they would all start singing, and I'm like, how do you know the words? What's going on? I don't even know.
It's
I'm just going to stand here.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that just like brought something up. Like all the things, like it's all the same, and like everyone repeats it. I'm like, you're just...
I did like the incense
say this, chant
cool.
this.
They had some frankincense or something going around.
They do the little incense stuff. Like that was awesome. But just like repeat after me, word for word. Almost like, it's just very interesting. Jamie says, I didn't question until I was adult.
She's talking about religion. I think she commented that.
Kind of, same with me. I didn't question it. I was just like, I remember my husband and I got into like a really big argument because our premarital counselor, because you get like a discount on your marriage license if you go to premarital counseling.
For any of those of you who don't know that, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. In Oklahoma anyway. And we, and like she was really nice. And of course I'm not the person I am now. This was back more timid Morgan. But she, I remember she made a really big deal about asking like if I was saved, and I was like, meh. And I was like, well,
oh God.
And so inner Morgan, this true Morgan was under the layer. She was still in there. I was like, no. And I was like, but I was baptized as a baby, because I guess when I have to be baptized as an adult to be saved. And then she was trying to tell me, oh, that doesn't count. So because I was baptized as a baby, as a Catholic, like it didn't count, and like I needed to be saved, and like, and of course in my mind I'm like, well, Jesus, if anything's correct about the Bible, Jesus died to save our sins. So even not being baptized is still a sin. We're still saved.
I feel like that
Anyways.
was the master erase button. I don't know what happened.
Right. Anyways, and so, and Jeremy was kind of like, he was siding with her. And of course, this is different Jeremy back then.
Yeah.
And so they were kind of ganging up on me and like, oh, well, you need to be saved because you're not saved. And I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, it like really pissed me off. And then like right there, they had, it like really triggered me. Maybe this is the thing. I don't know. Maybe this is the trigger here. But so like there, like in her living room, like we like held hands and I like repeated some words and that made me saved. And I'm like, what the fuck ever. I just did it to appease you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just made me feel really, really weird. And I was upset with Jeremy because, you know, he wasn't siding with me. And of course he just meant it out of love. You know, he's like, well, I love you and I want you to be saved. But I was like, this whole thing is just fucking BS. And like, it was just so ridiculous. I kind of forgotten about that until now.
I wonder if that's
just made me really upset.
People, the whole, you feeling when you said the new triggers or that you've noticed about the people with that. I wonder if that's linked to that. I wonder if that's where it's from.
It probably is because.
So maybe you should explore that session.
I should explore that because it was not cool.
Yeah, there you go.
To be ganged up into something, which is almost kind of like what religion does is like trying to guilt you, like, oh, you're gonna go to hell if you're not saved, and so you're kind of forced.
I know all about it.
Yeah, so you're kind of like forced into something that you're not really aligned with, and you're not allowed to ask questions. You're not allowed to explain your side of the story. It's just like, nope, this is the way. Because it's in the Bible, because God said, and you're an evil sinner who's going to go to hell because you were baptized as a baby and not as an adult. And it's just like, ugh. It's just so, it's clearly there's a lot around that. I
had a lot there also with religion. I mean, being gay, growing up in Oklahoma, the Bible Belt, I've had literally, I had an old lady one time when I was walking through Walmart with an ex-girlfriend. Just holding hands. That's all we were doing, walking through Walmart.
And oh my God, two girls holding hands. Oh my God.
You'd think it was the end of the world. Well, to her it was. So she came up to me and she put her hand out, and I thought she was like wanted to shake my hand or something. So I put my hand out, and she puts her other hand on top and slaps a little pamphlet that's like this big, and it's like, you're going to hell, and it's like listing all these things. I'm like,
Jesus.
Literally, Jesus. Like, where are you at? I'm just. No, but for me it was like I was really confused and puzzled just looking at this woman who just came up to a complete stranger.
Didn't even know you.
Yeah, like I'm one of the nicest people you'll probably ever meet. That's just me. That's how I am. And I'm like, you're so quick to judge because I was holding hands with somebody. Like, for all you know, you don't even know we were together. We could have been two friends holding hands or sister. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even know. There was a lot of assumptions.
Right. Like, there could have been any, like, hey, let's hold hands just to, because I want to.
Hey, I have anxiety right now in the store. Will you hold hands with me? Like, anyway.
Or you could be sister. Like,
that's
no,
what
you don't know. You don't know.
So that happened. And then the thought, I kind of felt sorry for her because I'm like, this lady is walking around. She's a little old lady. I mean, I'm not that tall. I'm like 5'5" 3/4". But she's a little shorter than me. She shrunk. Okay, so she was at least in her 70s or 80s. She's a little shrunk over, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I felt bad for her because this is why. Because she's that old and she's walking around with a purse full of pamphlets to hand out to people, telling them they're going to hell. Because I know she's got extras. I didn't get the last one, is what I'm saying.
She had a purse full, okay?
Like and this is where we go back to perspectives and everything, right? She is on a mission. She is out in the world with the lenses on, looking for the thing to say that's wrong, instead of looking for the thing to say that's right. She's on a mission to pass out these pamphlets because she feels in her heart that's doing the right thing, but all she's doing is judging other people, not celebrating it. And that's where, for me, you know, Christianity in itself really turned me off back then because I was told that I was going to hell just because of who I was. For something I literally couldn't control. Like, I cannot control who I love, right? Parts don't matter. The soul, the essence, the heart, the source, whatever, That's what
Yeah.
I fell in love with. And I just always found it very interesting that someone could say that you're going to hell for that. And to me, it never resonated because I was like, well, first of all, I used to ask lots of questions at church because I'm a why person. And even as a kid, I was a
Yeah.
why person. So I wanted to know
Yeah.
why. Why is this working?
Yeah.
Why do you feel this way? Why, well, if you do that in church, it's not looked greatly upon. It's blasphemous. And they'll start saying that
Don't
you're
ask
atheist and all these
questions
things. And I'm like, I don't, yeah.
because
Um,
that's just how it is.
but for me, it was like, well, why? Why do you think that way? Why? Who are you to say? You're basically saying that God or Jesus or whoever is an idiot that would create something not of love, and that
It's
they're.
so contradictory.
That's what I'm saying, and I'm thinking
Yeah.
this as like a young child. I used to think these
Yeah.
things. I also used to ask questions like, well, wait a minute. They're saying that the Earth is only this many years old, but there's dinosaurs that were around this long ago, and we actually have carbon dating for bones, and we actually have
Mm-hmm.
proof of bones and all these things, but they're saying they never existed because of time. It hasn't been around. Like I'm weird, okay? I know that as a kid that I was thinking these things,
Good weird.
but I remember asking that question specifically after big people church because I didn't like going to Sunday school because I'm like I don't want to be around these annoying little kids. So I'd sit in big people church, and I've been an artist all my life. So I'd sit in big people church and blah blah blah. They'd be talking, and I would be drawing on the back of the what is that thing they give you when you walk in to church
Oh, the
service?
little, I don't know,
Little
that's
piece of
just the
paper.
paper of
Yeah, like whatever it
the
was.
program.
Yeah, the program.
Yeah.
And I'd just be
Yeah.
drawing there, and then this old lady would always give me a piece of Trident gum, so that's where my Trident gum comes in.
Oh, yeah.
But I specifically remember one time getting out of Big People Church, going out in the hall area, where everybody meets up and talks and gossips after. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
specifically asking about dinosaurs or something like that, and I asked that question, and that's when I was told, "You're atheist." And I'm like, "What? What?" First of all, I was a kid. I didn't know what atheist was. And I was like, "What do you mean I'm atheist?" And
How dare you put a label on a
yeah,
child that's asking
why are you asking
questions?
these questions? Like, that's just how it is. That's a parent telling you this is just how it is. You need to listen to me. I'm a parent or whatever. Um, well, I'm not saying it was my parents. I'm just saying that's
Right.
how that works. Like they tell you, and that's just how
Yep.
it is. Don't ask
An
questions.
adult tells a child,
And you're not
this
supposed
is
to
how
question
you
it.
are and the world is, and just shut up and do this thing.
And so when they told me then, after I said, what is an atheist? Because I didn't even know what that was, and they told me what an atheist was, I looked at them really confused, and I remember, I literally just standing like this, and I was like, I'm not saying that I don't believe in something, or God, or whatever you want to call it. I'm
Right.
just trying to put all these pieces together, and it doesn't make sense to me. I'm a very analytical mind person. Like, I'm
Yeah.
creative, but I'm also very thought-driven. So, like I
Yeah.
said, the whys and all these things.
Yeah.
But I just remember that really irked me. So ever since after that, and then I had these other experiences, when I grew up and came out at 16 and a half, 17, being gay in the Bible Belt, people coming up to me, that was not the only time that's happened. It just really turned me off to religion. So I don't consider myself
Yeah.
a religious person by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm
Same.
definitely a spiritual person, and I believe that all religions, to some degree, are telling the truth. Now I have been changed a little bit, but all of them are really saying about the same message. And if you were to really stop and ask questions of other religions instead of just being completely turned off in a way like, no, I'm not even going to listen, like Morgan said, closed-minded, I think you'd be interested to know how, or you'd see the connections yourself, is what I'm saying, like how connected and how similar they really are.
The truth
is always the truth.
is there in all religions. What's happened, and we kind of touched on this back last week with our alien vlogcast, which is interesting. It's just everything's been manipulated by man to fit some sort of agenda.
Yeah.
And to pit
Not
people
the gay
against
agenda.
themselves.
We don't have an agenda. Unless you want
I
to
know
join our team, then join our team.
they're trying to create things. They're trying to use
Yeah.
that to create this whole movement with this gets really deep and gross, I'm sorry, but like pedophilia. I'm like, that is not what gay lesbian
trust me, yeah.
gayness, like that's not, but they're trying to like
Connect
fit
the
that
two.
in with that, and I'm like, what the fuck is actually going on? Like, no, that's not the same thing. Like, that's a whole different agenda. That
What
gets
else I
into
think
the
is interesting about that?
elite cabal Illuminati agenda. That's not.
I think what's interesting about that too is, honestly, I know so many people in the LGBT community, myself included, who have some type of sexual something that happened at some point in their life to them. Not that they were doing, that happened to them. So I think it's so funny that people are so quick to jump and think that they would do that to somebody else. Because in that
Yeah.
situation, like, why would you ever want to cause that pain or whatever on somebody else?
Right. It doesn't make sense.
But you are right. I mean, there are pedophilia groups that try to join like gay pride parades and stuff like that, and they're like, no, we're not for that. But yeah, a lot of people do try to link
it's
it
an
to.
infiltration is what they're doing, because they're trying to like create.
They're trying to say that it's a sexual orientation or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's not.
I'm like, no, that is not, that's a predatory thing. No, it's not the same thing. And it's,
Sorry,
yeah, it's just bizarre. No, you're good, because, you know, I'm not gay. You are. You have that different perspective. I'm all about like, look, love who you want to love, but not kids. That's predatory, and that's just straight up like, that's just some dark shit, and that's a whole different thing. But that gets into conspiracy theories, and which aren't really conspiracy theories.
They usually end up being
There's
true
things that are actually happen. But anyway, back to like religious stuff. Like, there's just all this programming that happens, and you're not allowed to ask questions, and they create a narrative, and you have different religions pitting themselves against each other, but all religions have the same truth when you look at it from the very base level. There's the same prophecies, there's the same I don't know, just love yourself, you know, love others, love humanity. When you strip out all the man-made BS, the root of everything is just be nice to each other. Love yourself. Love each other. Like, don't be a shitty human.
Agreed. So Stephanie said, I grew up in a church and was bullied for being poor and not wanting to wear a dress. While I have met many religious people with amazing hearts, I've met many more with ill intent.
Yes, that's a good point, because
I agree.
Gosh, I can think of someone right now that like they're very religious, but they're very, oh my God, they're so sweet. They have such amazing hearts, and they're such good people. But there are so many more that just they wear the church thing like a label, like a
they're the people
like a symbol of like awesomeness. Like, I go to church on Sunday, and blah blah
they
blah.
live a whole different life until
you.
Sunday.
Yeah,
those people.
It's straight up just for appearances, just so that they look good to other people. They wear this mask, they create this persona that's not their true self.
Yeah, because then it's easier to point the finger at others, to point out what they're doing wrong.
Exactly.
I feel a sneeze coming. Oh,
bless you.
Gosh, that was big. Thanks.
Let's see. Stephanie says the core ideology is the same. Yes, exactly. Is there another one?
No, I think I'm good. My eyes are just watering now.
Okay. But yeah, it's just, and you're finding more and more people that are just questioning the religious narrative, you know, and a lot of people say, oh, well, the young people, they're not going to church anymore. And it's like, well, because you have your old belief systems there. And I don't align with that because it's very judgmental. And I'm just not okay with that. Like me, we don't go to church anymore. All it did was cause stress. Like, we got to get there on time. We got to get the kids here. We got to like look nice. And I'm like, no, how about no? I don't want to do that. I don't want to cause this extra stress and anger and then fighting. I cannot tell you how many fights Jeremy and I had after church and just ruined the whole fucking Sunday just because we couldn't get to church on time or something didn't go right with church. And I'm like, fuck this shit. This is stupid. I don't like this. I don't want to ruin my day just trying to get to church just because we have to. Like, we're so much happier just taking an easy Sunday, being together, having coffee on the front porch and just hanging out.
And I think that's the difference too, like when we talked about, and Stephanie was talking about too, about people wearing masks and things like that. That's why really when I first started even exploring other things, like I got into Buddhism a lot because it's not a religion, it's just a way of living. And a lot of their things I already thought, or I already felt that way, I already lived that way. I'm just went a little bit deeper with it. But for me, that's what spirituality is, right? It's being that way all the time.
Yeah.
Whether you're at a building where people are gathering or not. Like, what do you do when no one's watching? That's what's important. Stephanie said, some wear that mask every day. How exhausting. Exactly.
I know, it's sad.
People that know me, like, this is me. There's not another version. I know I posted like a meme or something yesterday, the day before, about I don't have this fake, what was it, internet personality or something. Like, this is just me all the time. And people who know me, like Morgan knows me personally, like, this is just me. There's not someone behind the scenes and not behind the scenes, like, and that's what I mean. Like, who are you when no one is watching? Like, do people really know you? Or do they think they have this idea of you, of who you are?
Yeah.
Like, I can say 100%, everyone that knows me knows me. I have no hidden agendas. I'm a freaking open book. Other than the things I'm working on, and then when I'm ready to share those, I will share those. But I'm very transparent.
Yes, you are. And I'm working on that more and more.
I think you're a pretty transparent person.
I swear a lot more behind the scenes, you guys.
I swear just as much, if not more, yeah.
I say a lot.
They're sentence enhancers, that's all it is.
Sentence enhancers, yes.
They're words, get over it.
I will say, around certain family members, I probably hold back a little bit.
I cuss around my grandma.
But I'm getting better. I'm still myself, but I still hold back just a little bit because of, I don't know what, I don't want to cause extra thing. You know, my mom has her, you know, she has her illness, and that just makes things harder for her. So that's probably part of it. It's like, I don't want to complicate things with that, but I'm in.
Using those words would do that?
Oh yeah. If I was like dropping F-bombs around my family, I'd be like,
at first, possibly. But what if that was the new normal? Like, they were around your normal self. That's the key.
I don't know. If I dropped an F-bomb around my grandmother, she might slap me.
Well, you never know until you know.
I try that. I'm like, she slapped me. No, but I still have to feel out the situation. So it's just stuff to work on. I'm slowly just, you know, really getting into myself and just being myself more openly.
All the time. Yep.
But I do trip up on my words a lot. So I think I'm a little self-conscious about that, like being in person with people. And if something controversial comes up, I'm like, I'm going to bite my tongue because I don't have maybe all the facts straight, or I get really maybe triggered with certain things. And then I turn red, and then I'm aware I'm turning red. And I'm like, God damn it.
Sensory acuity.
Yeah. So it's just a journey that I'm on, and I'm just trying to be proud of myself and how far I've come and how far I'm going to go. So
yeah, I mean, this is literally just the tip of the iceberg, and you're like, so crazy far from when I first met you. Like, it's so awesome. Like, I really am so proud of you just to know all the things you've done. I'm proud of myself too. I've been through a lot of stuff since even when I first met you.
I'm proud
We're proud of each other. We're proud of everybody.
That's right.
Even you viewers, because we know you're working on stuff.
Yeah, we're all at different points in our journey, and we have different things. And
the point is, you're not alone ever.
Yeah, ever.
That's why it's important to talk to people while you're going through things, because someone could be in the same, you know, spot as you on their journey right now, so they could offer some advice, or just support, really, that you guys have an outlet to talk to somebody else about it. And then always look for people who have already been through it. So that's where you look at mentors and things like that, is because somebody else can guide you through going through those things.
Yeah. You don't have to do it alone, because that's just really hard. That's really hard. And it really sucks.
Yes, I agree. Community's everything.
It is. Got to find your tribe.
Yes. Your
tribe
community,
vibes.
Yep. All of those things.
All the things.
Oh, all right. That's all I got.
And that's all I got too. Yeah.
Let me see.
Let's see. I don't see any more. At least my computer's
I don't think we have any more
up to date.
Stephanie's.
Okay.
At least I haven't seen any. So we've had people hopping on, but I think we're good.
Sweet.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Like I said, we're here every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you can also join our group up in the title of this video, the Awaken Vlogcast community, and you can go back and watch previous episodes. This was episode 17, Triggers. So if you want to see past episodes, just click on that free group above, and you can join that and go watch the other episodes that we had before.
Yep. Or request.
We're always open to taking requests. So a lot of these episodes have been requests from people. They want to know about certain things. So they'll comment on here or PM one of us and tell us, hey, could you do an episode on this? And so we have a running list that we keep, so we'll always keep adding to it. And if you're watching this on replay, people always comment on here. We both always go back and comment. Some people I know don't like to comment on here, so everybody sees what they're asking. You can message either one of us, and we're pretty open to...
They're creeping on us, which is fine. Totally fine.
It's all good. To answer any questions you guys have, or maybe some guidance or anything like that. So that's all I got. Till next week.
Till next week.
All right. See you guys. Have a good night.
All right.